Beautiful day in Dallas. You guys excited? All right, I am too. And the reason I'm excited is I always think about the big franchise brands that are out there every time we do a Genesis Summit. And I think one of you could be the next big breakout franchise in the world. And we've had some amazing stories that have happened over the years. Who saw the presidential, not the inauguration, but when Trump won and the whole family got up on stage? Do you guys see that on the news? You know, whether you voted for him or not, his son, Barron, is a tall guy. Like, I thought Ralph Nilsson was tall. Barron's taller. Did you notice the suit he was wearing? That was made by a franchisor that was here not that long ago named Pierce Bespoke. And he had a vision to create a mobile suit tailoring franchise. And he did. He sold 45 different individuals a franchise in the last 2 years. And he got a call. And it was Barron Trump. He said, hey, I need a suit. Could you come to Mar-a-Lago? Nathan's based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So what do you think he said? Yes. So he flew out to Florida, went to Mar-a-Lago, met Barron, met the family, had a great day there, apparently super, super nice guy. And he fitted him for a suit. And there it was on stage the other night. And then yesterday he got a call from CBS saying, could you come on our show and talk about, you know, what you did with Barron Trump? And so he said, yes. Yes, of course, I'd love to. So that's really amazing, right? And so I'm certain that the marketing that's going to happen there is going to be terrific. You're going to meet another amazing franchisor, Maya Ratcliffe, later on today, who was doing artwork in her garage and had a vision to bring it all across the country, all across the world. And that turned into Hawaii Fluid Arts. And she sold about 250 units in the last 2.5 years. So the wonderful thing that you have is this vision, this spark of creativity. You're doing something where there's a human need for it. And what we want to show you is how do you expand that across the entire country, across the entire world. And speaking about worldly men, here is franchise attorney extraordinaire. Give it up for Bill Grafe, everybody. All right, welcome. And Hassan Aliwali, all the way from Morocco, welcome. Okay. So my point in telling you these stories is there's so many amazing ones out there. And the reason that they're able to capitalize on this growth is that they have a platform that people can learn about them. So if you have a mobile oil changing business, who's got a car? Everybody, right? Do you like going and sitting at the oil change shop? No. It's like going to the dentist. But what if it could come to you, to your work? What if you have 50 cars in a parking lot at work and you just go and you do all of them because now it's on a rhythm, you know, with a company. So you think about these things, and you can have a great business here in Dallas, but they don't know about it in Seattle or Schenectady or in Syracuse or any of the other cities that, you know, start with an S. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So why am I up on stage? I've been in franchising now for 22 years, and I started right out of business school with a company called First Service. Who's heard of First Service? 3 people. All right. You guys don't count. All right. So First Service is the largest publicly traded property services franchisor on the planet. I bet if I told you their brands, let me show of hands and see if you know them. Collier's Commercial Realty, California Closets, CertaPro Painters, Paul Davis Restoration, Pillar to Post Home Inspection, Handyman Connection. There's a whole bunch of different brands that you might know the company, but you don't know the parent company. So that might be you as you grow and you start thinking about expansion and adding other things to your portfolio. So I did that for a long time. I ended up running global development teams for the company. Then I wrote a book called The Franchise MBA. Who's heard of that? All right, well, if you're in the FCC, you don't count. Well, you count, but you know. Okay, so you don't know where I worked, you don't have my book. Ouch, that's a harsh way to start. So the Franchise MBA, it's actually the highest reviewed book on Amazon in the franchise category. And we have, and believe me, we paid for every one of those reviews. No, we didn't. So that was really the start of stories of people that have succeeded in franchising. And I love to collect stories because I think if you see somebody doing something well over here, there are probably some things that you can take and share or take and put into your business. So a lot of what franchising is this foundation that then you get to build upon, okay? So if you're sitting there thinking, how am I gonna do this stuff? We're going to show you those foundational pieces and then help tie them into your business. Because there are other plumbing businesses out there, there are other automotive businesses out there that they figured something out that we might be able to help you with. So I launched the franchise consulting company. It's grown to over 190 offices now in the United States. We work with 350 different brands, everything from automotive to childcare to food, everything other than hotels. We also operate in 16 countries because everything that people want here, they want there. And people are all the same. So your brand could be a global brand. And there's a huge opportunity not only to export ideas, but also to bring them back. Then we launched a trade show called the Great American Franchise Expo, which is being put together downstairs right now. We have about 2,200 people that have signed up for the show. There's going to be a number of brand new franchisors that were in this room not too long ago exhibiting at that show, talking with people in Dallas that have an interest in buying a franchise. And it is an amazing opportunity to be able to learn how to speak with buyers, because maybe you don't know how to do that. So that's a huge, huge platform that we've built. Then we launched a magazine called Franchise Journal. It goes out to over 500,000 people every month. This month is honoring our veterans. Are there any veterans in the room, by the way? Yeah, awesome. Anybody's family served in the military? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So next month is Best of 2024. So if you have signed up with Franchise Genesis or you're thinking about signing up, we will put you into the Best of 2024 so that now you have this ability to reach a whole lot of people, but then also to point to it and say, kind of like the Entrepreneur 500, I am in a nationally syndicated magazine. We also publish it in 4 regions outside the US: Europe, Middle East, North Africa, Asia Pacific, and Australia, New Zealand. Then we launched, of course, Franchise Genesis, where we create about a quarter of all new franchise entities in the United States come through Franchise Genesis. And obviously, we'll be talking a lot about what we do, how we do it over the course of today. Then we launched Fran Adco, which does marketing, sales, videos, SEO, SEM, because you need to be able to tell your story. And then, as Rick said, Global Influencers Group, where we can connect you with pro athletes and celebrities. In fact, who lives in Dallas? Okay, who's heard of the Dallas Cowboys? Just kidding. Yeah. Oh, you have? Oh, good. Okay, you don't even live in Dallas. How about D-Law? Who knows what D-Law is? Okay. Well, he is one of our clients, and we just connected him with a great company called Outlaw Fit Camp that's based here in Dallas. D-Law, Outlaw, kind of works, right? So imagine the Instagram eyeballs that now are going to be on this company. And what the athletes want is equity. They want growth, because they're all concerned about, well, what happens if I break my leg, right? So there's a nice trade that can happen there. So all of these companies are designed to help people create a business, buy a business, market a business, and get out there on the world stage. And that's what I've been doing for a very long time. So what we're going to cover here today are these things. I always like to point to this one, because I think this is kind of, I don't know, if you're not thinking about that, you probably should. So yes, you're all a little nuts, right? I mean, you can't be sane and start a business and go through all of the heartache and turmoil and so on, but the vision that you have inside of you drives you forward. And that's ultimately what has helped humanity get to where it is. So let's talk about this. What is your plan? Do you have a plan? Who's written a life plan for themselves? Is anybody? Here's where I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, okay? Don't feel bad if you didn't raise your hand. Small group of people did. It is probably the single most powerful thing that you can do is look into the future and then set some parameters and KPIs, key performance indicators, around what you want to achieve. It could be how many kids you want, how much money you want to make, whatever it is. If you write it down, you have a much higher likelihood of hitting it. So what is your plan for your business? As Rick said, there's a lot of different options that you have. You might want to be the next McDonald's. You might want to have a Texas-wide system that creates a great income for you with not a huge amount of hassle, or somewhere in between. But ultimately, your vision is your vision. So we're not here to say this is what you must do. It's where do you want to dream? And let's help you with the tools to get there. So I think the first step is write down where you want to go. Now, the great thing about plans is sometimes as you're on that journey, you start morphing. And that's a wonderful thing. And you look at the horizon and you say, maybe I will go further. So maybe you say, I want to start in Texas. And then you say, you know what, Oklahoma's not too far. The next thing you know, well, Canada speaks English, kind of. So depending on where you want to go, just get started. Because it really is, the things that you regret most in life are the things that you don't do. And I think, when Rick was talking about the pandemic, what we've seen is a big shift, and I'm going to show you what that looks like through the pandemic. Okay, who's feeling like this a little bit? FDD, trade show, this, that, marketing. Anybody kind of feeling like there's a lot here? No? Yes? All right. I always do. Jeez, there's a lot here. All right, so here's our goal, is a path, a peaceful, beautiful, well-lit path that you can follow, as many, many other entrepreneurs have, and so that you've got a destination by the end of the day. Either this is for me, or I don't think I want to do it. But whatever it is, my advice to you is time is short. So make a decision. You'll never, ever have all the information that you need. You ever made a decision with most of the information? That's like all decisions, okay? So we'll show you the path. The decision is up to you. All right, so I believe that any business rests on two major pillars: sales and management. Who believes that? Who sells stuff? Everybody. Okay, what is your definition of sales? So there are two definitions of sales. One is a consultative definition, educating the customer. We have an offering, it might be worth it for you or not. So I need to describe what I'm doing, right? The other is transactional. I have a product, do you want to buy it or not? So one is needs-based. I mean, they're both needs-based, but one is more consultative. I always like to use the example of, you're not going to sell snowplow services in Miami. We don't need them. Denver, it's a whole different story. On the transactional side, it's here's how we're going to market, and you're going to come in and say, I want it, I've got a product, okay? So think transactional and consultative, and then think about within your business, which one does your product or service offering fall into? There's no right or wrong here, but as you're starting to think about your marketing and sales, then, and we're going to help you with this, then we're going to start looking at how are other similar characteristics being displayed in other businesses. It could be on a transactional, it could be on a consultative. So that's sales. So you're all here to create, potentially, a franchise system. So what is a franchise? So if you look in the dictionary, the definition of a franchise is a marketing model that a business uses to grow, full stop. It's a marketing model. Has anybody ever heard of the franchise industry? You ever heard people say that? Okay. I always correct them. You know, that's a misnomer. There are industries, and then there are franchises within those industries, okay? There is no franchise industry. Who knows what an NAICS code is? North American Industrial Classification System. So that's the industry categories. There are 4,000 franchise brands within those different industry categories. So you're selling a model, you're collecting a royalty, people have to follow your rules. So there's a legal component in here as well, which we have one of the best franchise attorneys on the planet here today who's going to share how that looks. But when I think about franchising over my 22 years, I think of cookies and tools. Make sense? No, it doesn't. Come on, it's not supposed to. Yeah, perfect. So cookies and tools. What do I mean by that? So I believe a great franchise system is like baking cookies. And here's what I mean by that. Now imagine all of us in this room want to bake a lot of cookies. A lot of cookies. And let's say we organize ourselves. So we'll cut the room into 4 different equal groups. We're going to take all of our money and we're going to pile it up, okay? So whatever percentage of the total pot you have is then how many cookies you're going to get, right? In other words, we have $100, you put in 10, you get 10% of the output because you put in 10% of the input, right? Now, our 4 different groups, one group is going to be tasked with buying flour. Go to ConAgra, Archer Daniels Midland, cut a deal with them, go buy as much flour as you can, given the money that we have. The other group is going to handle eggs and milk and chocolate chips and packaging and so on, right? But that's all you're going to focus on. Now, if we do it that way, and then we all go out and we get these inputs, do you think that we can make more cookies with that pile of money than if you take your $10 and you go down to Publix or Kroger's or Albertsons and buy all of the ingredients required? But is there a doubt? There's no doubt. So now imagine within your business having an organized structure where you can harness other people's money on a national or a global scale to create the inputs that they need in order to run their business. Isn't that a much more efficient model than if they go down to the Albertsons, right? In essence, that is franchising. We're going to amortize the costs across a wide base of participants, okay? So think about within your business, what are your costs? Now here's the great thing for all of you as the franchisor. You are entitled to not only the royalty on the sales, you also can get a rebate back from those manufacturers. Example with our cookies. We go to ConAgra and ADM. Who knows those 2 companies? Okay, huge. And you say, hey, they're selling us flour for $2,000 a ton. Okay, we'll sell it for $1,800. Okay, cool. Out of the $1,800, you as the franchisor, maybe you are getting $200 back. But you're negotiating that deal, so you have to be compensated. But then for every ton that's coming back, you're getting a rebate of $200. That is pure profit. That makes sense? So if you're buying pipe fittings or oil, whatever you're doing, the manufacturers will have a rebate back to you. Goes to grocery stores, they call it slotting fees and so on. But that rebate then comes back to you on a national level, okay? So when you start thinking about exiting your company, multiple to EBITDA is typically how a private equity group, public, whatever, is gonna buy a company. So think about the value of that rebate that we call special revenue. There are a lot of buckets within your business that you can monetize, and we'll help you with that as you're putting your plan together, okay? Cookies, because we want to make lots and lots of cookies, and we want our franchisees to have the highest quality, lowest cost inputs so that they can make lots of money, so that they can build a great business, so that more people can come and say, hey, that's a great business that you have. How did you do it? Well, buy the franchise. And then that flywheel effect starts taking over, just like it did with Maya, or is happening right now with Nathan Pierce, or many of the other people that have sat where you're sitting, okay? Great cookies. Who doesn't love cookies? Tools. Tools is the other thing. You know, hammers, hammer and sickle. No, I'm kidding for all you non-communists out there. So what are the tools? If you think about a business, every one of your businesses is made up of marketing, operations, finance, HR, right? Construction and so forth, supply chain. Think of these major categories. These are the tools that you are going to offer to your franchisee. So can they go and start a plumbing business on their own? Of course they can. Can they go and start a burger business on their own? Of course they can. But if you can start your own burger business, or how about this one? Who knows what this is? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Who knows it? Yeah? Okay, you know it, you're laughing, you don't know it? Okay. McDonald's. How do we know that? Because they have spent a lot of money pounding that piece of marketing into their head. But the wonderful thing, if you have one McDonald's or you have 50 of them, you as the franchisee derive the same benefit from that jingle, whether you're little or big. So that is an example of a great tool that McDonald's has that you can't replicate on your own. So then you want to think about all of these different tools that you're providing, and then back to the cookies, how can you amortize the costs across all of them to give them better tools than they can get on their own? Because if you can't give them a better tool, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go down to Home Depot and buy it themselves, okay? Because yes, there are other beef manufacturers that will sell you a beef patty to make your burger joint sing. Okay, oh, looks like somebody, that's okay. That's the cue for Nick. Come on, you're talking too much. How much time do I have, Rick? Am I done yet?
25 minutes.
Sweet.
We gave you extra time today.
All right. Okay, cookies and tools. So I want you to think about your business. I want you to think about it critically. I want you to think about how to make better cookies, and I want you to think about how to make better tools. We've got a whole bunch of them that we're going to share with you. Okay. Now, honesty. Who's ever plagiarized something in school? Honesty, okay. I believe plagiarism is the highest form of flattery in business. Or as our creative department likes to say, it's not plagiarism, it's inspiration. It's inspiration. Who studies their competition? Okay? Study them. Shop them. Check them out. Learn what they're doing. Now, I think you've got two different types of businesses. So I want you to think about where you fall into this continuum and then who your big competitors are. It could be a local competitor or it could be a franchise competitor. And let me give you some characteristics, but you need to benchmark yourself when you think about those tools, right? Marketing, operations, finance, HR, and so on. What are they doing that's different than you? And they might be doing something better. So retail businesses, you got to shop. People come to you. They buy something. It tends to be transactional for the most part. There are two types of retail businesses. I want to talk about the characteristics because there are lots of different industries that are within these retail businesses that are in A and B. A is simple retail. Simple retail, just about anybody could do it. Think about a Subway. We could take an 18-year-old kid, put them to work, they start making subs, right? They quit, we bring a bunch of people in, whoever has the most teeth and the least felonies, we hire them and they start making subs, right? Okay. You got 3 teeth? You're all right. B is sophisticated retail. Think of like an urgent care business. It's in a shop, right? A hospital. You have a doctor, they're trained. That's the sophisticated part. Pros and cons to both of these. With sophisticated retail, they're probably not going to quit or go to jail, right? But if they do quit, it might be a lot harder for somebody to get behind the counter and do that, kidney transplant. Make sense? So think about, are you simple or sophisticated retail? And then who is your competition and what are they doing well? And it doesn't mean that if you're in the food space that you only look at food simple retail businesses. Think about all the other types of businesses that are in those categories, like fitness. What are they doing for the customer experience? You may find that they're doing some things that you can find inspiration with, or plagiarize, or blatantly steal, and that's okay. Who's ever looked at a company like Tiffany's or Gucci, you're like, yes, me, I got lots of, and said, what is their user experience like? Have you ever done that? Gone in, not as a client, but as a business owner to see how do they treat clients? You ever done that? Yes? It's a great exercise. It could be a plumber, and you could see how are they doing it. Because ultimately, your customer wants a high level of care and service. So go and take a look at businesses that are outside of your category and look at how they engage with their clients. You will find pieces in there that you can mix into your business that these companies have spent billions of dollars figuring out, okay? I love mystery shopping and looking at business. How they do, oh, it's very interesting. I highly recommend you do the same. Let's go down to the service category. Looks like D is trying to escape there. So C is going to be B2C, business to consumer. Service businesses, you're in a van, you go to somebody, you do something for them, right? That could be elder care. It could be property services, painting, plumbing, roofing, flooring, closets. There's a lot in that category. Pretty simple to do a transaction. They have a need for it. You might have to educate them as to here's what we're going to do, but if you show up at their house, there's a high likelihood that they're going to say, okay, go ahead and do it, right? They're probably going to pay you up front. Or if you have a couple of things like residential house painting, maybe they give you half the money up front. D is going to be B2B, where you're selling to a corporation. Think about things like drug testing, financial services, employment services, right? People don't need this stuff. Businesses need this stuff. Who remembers Jack Welch? Long departed, rest in peace, head of GE. He had this great saying, make your back office somebody's front office, okay? So if you have, what is your core business? If your core business isn't staffing or drug testing, get rid of it. Outsource it.
Why do you have to choose one or the other?
It's basically
business as well as
you can, yeah. And there's a third category as well, where you straddle them, B to B to C, where you market to other businesses that then put you into their workflow to go into a house. Like you market to a realtor who's looking to sell a business, and then they're going into a house. So there are businesses that go across those boundaries. Let's go back to painting. Bill, we like painting, right? Love painting. Who's heard of CertaPro painters? They paint a lot of houses. What are they up to now? I mean, 750 units?
Way up there.
Probably over $1 billion in system-wide sales?
Yes.
Okay. Who'd like to have a 7% royalty on $1 billion? Who knows how much that is, first of all? Huh? $70 million. $70 million. And you know what the great thing about royalty is? There's a lot of profit. Crazy profit in royalty. So think about that kind of mailbox money coming. That's a lot of paint. So if you go to a residential house and you say, well, Miss Smith, it's gonna be $5,000 to paint your house. Okay, you look like a nice young man, okay, signed, boom. $2,500 down, $2,500 upon completion. Deal's done. Let's say we wanna come here and paint the Sheraton. Think we're going in, well, Mr. Sheraton, it's gonna be $5 million, it's gonna be $2.5 million up front. No. There's gonna be permits, licenses, scheduling, so on and so forth. It's a whole different category of painting. So the difference, yes, you can do both, but not everybody that can do B2C can do B2B. So you need to be careful about that, because remember, it's your brand. So if you've got a guy that comes and uses your brand and screws up your brand because they took the Sheraton's money, you're the one that has a problem with that, right? Another fun example would be our friend Jared at Subway. Who knows what happened to him? Yes, I know the joke. He's eating a different kind of footlong. But it's a whole different thing now, because I know, I have to wake the room up a little bit. I see you kind of, right? So Subway got impacted by his horrible things that he did. And it goes on and on if you look at companies. So your brand, the sacred thing that you have, you need to protect it. So if it is B2B, make sure that there are systems and processes in place, and that the people that are going out to do B2B, they're different than the people that do B2C, right? Okay, so now think about where you fall into this continuum, and then who is a non-franchised, really good competitor, and go and look at what they're doing, okay? Who knows what quadrant they would be in? I'll give you a quick recap. A, simple retail. B, sophisticated retail. C, B2C. D, B2B. Okay, let's do a quick round the room. What are you in?
DNC.
DNC. Okay, how about you? A, how about you? B. Okay. B.
DNC.
DNC. Okay. A and C, simple retail and service going to a consumer. Where you go out to them.
Sorry, I go business to business.
Business to business, so you're D. D, okay. How about you? D and C, okay. C and D. C and D? Okay, excellent. Maya, how about you?
ACD.
ACD. So simple retail, you can go out to somebody's home for parties, or you can go to like a school or a corporation. Okay. Multiple different personas. And you can learn multiple different things from different businesses in those categories. You don't need to just be in one, but you need to think through how you're going to market and show your services, okay? It's fun stuff, right? Because now you're starting to think strategically on a national scale what the building blocks are of your business. Your business in franchising is not actually plumbing or oil changing. It's how do you build a business with tools or painting that then people can take and go and grow into these different markets. Okay, so I'll never forget, it was March, we were doing a show in Tampa, Florida, and, you know, trucks, people on the move, all over the news, schools getting shut down, everything's getting shut down. So I called the mayor of Tampa. The city of Tampa owns the Tampa Convention Center. I said, are you gonna shut the place down? Like, just let me know so that we can call the whole damn thing off, because I can't get to Tampa and have all these people like figuring out how to get there, and then you shut it down. And she said, no, we're gonna keep it open. Okay, so we're going up and, you know, schools are closing. And so we thought, man, when schools are closed, kids don't eat. Like, you think about how schools provide so much food for kids. So we called Feeding America, and we knew it was gonna be a terrible show because all the exhibitors started bailing on us. And we said, you know, we're gonna turn the show into a food drive. And then we started calling all the news channels. And it was, when schools are closed, kids don't eat. So we're doing this food drive. We've got the whole convention center. Come down, plenty of space, no contact, drop off some food. We're going to donate it to Feeding America. So by the time we got from Miami to Tampa, we're based in Miami, we were on news channels. They were pushing this thing out. And all of a sudden, you know, Cisco called. They dropped off like 100 gallons of fake maple syrup. It was awesome. It's like, really? Thanks. Pandemic and diabetes in one fell swoop. So it turned into a positive. And a couple of people showed up. I mean, they were really determined to buy a business. But it was a terrible show on that metric. But it was a great show because it gave us a cause. And then, so then we said, we need to change this model because, you know, Mayor Jane Castor on Monday, after they took our money, shut the place down. There's no more shows. So the whole year, everything was closed. So get insurance. I wish I'd gotten insurance. I wish I'd thought about that. I would have made a freaking mint on that business if I had insurance. So we turned it into an online show. Went online. I told my team, it's March 19th. I said, April 1st, we're having the first online franchise trade show. Remember that, Rudy? They're like, how do you do an online franchise trade show? I said, I don't know, but we're going to do it on April 1st. And so we built it and we launched it. And people started clicking on in droves. Imagine a big Zoom screen with lots of brands and doors. You click on it and then bam, there's Ralph Nilsson to tell you about finance. And we started getting people from all over the world who had nothing to do coming on and checking it out. Then the magazine that we used to print and give out, well, we couldn't give it out anymore. We put it online. Circulation skyrocketed. Business died for about 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, it just went crazy because everybody was sitting around thinking, what am I going to do with my life? And so for a lot of them, they thought, I should buy a business. We'll send you this. There's some great statistical information out there. 9 minutes or 10? 10. Sweet. Okay, who likes statistics? Who likes money? Okay. My advice, learn the statistics in your category. We'll give you, the IFA has a great white paper that covers all the different industry categories. It shows the growth. It's very useful information. We'll send it to you, unless you can read that. I always love it when people take a picture of it, and then when they zoom in, they can't read it. John, that was for you. All right, so here's the thing that I want you to really think about, because this is, on the macro level, what I think is important. Take a look here at the bounds of business. Why do we have a bump there? Coming out of the housing recession. So usually there is a pretty narrow band that business creation occurs within for years. Here's the pandemic. Bloop, everything dropped. Bam, everything came back. And look at how it reset. That net increase is people who have decided, I want to be free. I have one life to live. I am not going to sit on a highway going to work to go and make somebody else's dream come true. I'm going to do it for myself. And many of these people have decided it's a lot easier to buy a franchise than to go and make it all on my own, because I can get cookies and tools a lot faster, and I can go and I can start creating revenue instead of thinking about what should the brand look like? How do I go and get this? How do I do that? So you're coming into this at a really good time. I love this word, zeitgeist. The zeitgeist of the world, the tempo, the feeling, the rhythm, the way the whole planet is thinking has changed. Everybody's always wanted to be free. The pandemic put into their minds, you live once, you die. That's it. So take a risk. You really want to change your life? Go change it. That's what that graph says to me. So where are the deals happening? Who lives in Texas? Who lives in Florida? Okay. Texas and Florida account for about 40% of all net new business creations. Texas supplanted Florida. Texas is a great place to be. Who loves all those California license plates coming into Texas? Yeah, that's right. They spend money. All those new housing developments. They need everything. They need oil change. They need burritos. Whatever it is, they need it. So that's what's happening. The story of the demographic shift from west to south and from north to south is real. Because this is where the action is right now. Here and here. And some here. This is okay too. This is too small. Here and here. And you're here. So you are in a market that has more net new inflow of people coming in. So all that traffic, that's money, baby. That's money. So, fish where the fish are. When you start talking to franchisees, how should you think about them? Who's ever done a Myers-Briggs or Caliper? Have you ever done that? Okay. It's a personality assessment, psychometric. DISC is another one. Okay. So some people will put their franchisees through these. For me, I like to do this. Say, what's your toilet paper look like? But really, it's go with your gut, okay? When you meet somebody that wants to buy your franchise, go with your gut. Do you like them? Maya, I hope you talk about this, because I know you have turned people away and had consultants furious at you, and when you were starting off. And that's always the hard part. You're starting your franchise, and you get somebody, and they show up, and they say, I want to buy the business. And you're like, I really don't like this person. Some franchisors go, screw it, I'll take their money. I had a horrible first date. Screw it, I'll marry her. Don't do it. Don't do it. It sounds so much easier standing up here saying it, and then you're there, and it's like, but I got to pay the light bill. I got all these expenses. Screw it, I'll just marry her. Don't do it. Weed them out early. That's where the FCC, and there's some other okay groups, just kidding, out there, that work with clients and then learn what your parameters are and who you are, and then go and find clients that fit those parameters. Doesn't always work out. They might fit some parameters, but then your gut says, I want nothing to do with this person. My advice, go with your gut. It is so much less expensive to not sell a franchise than to get tagged with a lawsuit down the road, okay? So think of it like a investment in your future. So what is the journey that your franchisees will go through? So I'm going to tell you the general journey, and then I want you to start thinking about how you're going to orient how you interact with them, okay? Because it's in a disciplined, organized fashion, just like you run every other aspect of your business. So think about these like rocks going across a stream, okay? Each rock is a separate part of this journey. How would you navigate the rocks? Would you, You're still hot, Mike. Rick. You wouldn't run across it, right? You would test each rock so it doesn't like knock you into the river. That's how your franchisees should be looking at your business. The first step, the most important step, is they write a plan on themselves about what they want to do. The second step is they're going to hold that plan up to all the different ideas that are out there, and they're going to start researching and comparing you against the other groups that are out there. And when the FCC works with clients, they tell them to do this because we know this is how people buy a business. They think about what they want. Sometimes they don't write it down. We tell them write it down. They go and they start looking at other companies. Go look at other companies. Then eventually they narrow it down to one or two ideas that they like. Here's the third step that very few franchisors do, but if you do it, I promise you, you will close so many more deals. And when I tell it to you, you're going to say, it's so obvious. That's how I would want to do it too. Who owns a car? Did you take the car for a test drive before you bought it, or did you give them the money and then drive it off the floor? Everybody took it for a test drive. Take the franchise for a test drive. Come, work with the franchisee. If you have no franchisees, come to corporate, work with us. Come, get into the bottom of the crawl space and you get to suck out that, failed sump pump, whatever it is. Show them the dirty, nasty, hard stuff. They're gonna love it. Don't hide it from them, because that's gonna be their life. I'll give you a great example. Pet cremation and funeral. Who aspires to cremate dogs? Okay, if you raise your hand, call the cops. Nobody does. But who has a dog? Who's lost a dog? What did you do with the dog? Please don't tell me buried him in the desert. I don't want to hear. No. Okay, a lot of people cremate their pet. So 100% of all pets will die. Most people never think about this business. It's actually a great business. Recession-proof, you name it, it's everything-proof. This group that we turned into a franchise called Resting Rainbow that has now sold 35 units in the last couple of weeks, 16 last week, 4 this week. You know what they tell people? We can tell you all the great things about our business. You know what we do? We cremate dogs. So come down to Florida, we're gonna show you what we do. If you like it, then we'll talk. And some people say, I don't think I can do that. And they go, thank you for your time. And you know what they just did? They just saved a whole lot of time for them. Because Maya, how busy are you? How much time do you have in your life? You're quite busy. So every minute counts. But it gets to that third stone, that very psychological, come and try it. Come and see if you can do it. Welcome them into that. Not, well, our insurance says you can't do it, or we've got a special recipe that we can't show. They're gonna say, bullshit. Hey, great, come down to our business, we're gonna show you what you do, we're gonna put you on a truck, we're gonna show you how we do, we're gonna be baking stuff, you're gonna check it all out. That's the third step. And if they can't do it, that's okay, you just dodged a bullet. You really did. They'll go find something else, it's okay. The last step is the legal and the financial. Make sure that they have their FDDs reviewed by an attorney, which means make sure that your FDD is written by an attorney. You might be looking at multiple different groups that do what we do, and they all kind of sound the same. Do you know what they call the person who graduated last in their medical class? Doctor. The same as the one who graduated first. My advice is dig deeply to figure out who is your doctor. Okay? So sometimes we find FDDs, Bill's chuckling back there, where you look at them and you go, the heck is this? Somebody downloaded this from a public source and then control F'd it and put in your name. That's not how this is supposed to work. You have to know what you're building because that FDD is your castle. It's your fortress. It's your moat. If it's not, you will sell a franchise and it will crumble like the cookies. So make sure your legal is done really, really well. And then so well that when the franchisee has an attorney review it, which they will, they come back and say, well, this is a really well-written FDD, here are some of the things. Because if their attorney comes back and says, what the hell is this? Guess what they're gonna do? Do you think they're gonna call you and say, what the hell is this? They're gonna say, thank you so much for your time. It was really nice learning about you. We decided to go in a different direction. And that's it. But all the time that you spent trying to teach them about your business, gone. Finance. Have financial options for them. They're going to need them. You've got the largest franchise funding group in the country here, and the guy who runs it came all the way down from Minneapolis to show you what kinds of funding options are available. How many companies have you guys helped since inception? Do you guys track that?
Over 30,000.
30,000. That's a lot in a specialized franchise category. Think about that for a sec, okay? So those are the steps that your people are going to navigate. Think about it, make it easy for them, embrace their journey, and you will start off with a franchisee that looks at you like a family member, like a peer, not as somebody who they sold me this thing and now I'm screwed. Because they're gonna be your family. You want them to give you a hug and a high five when you see them at the conference, okay? So, what does it really get down to? I think it's scarcity versus abundance. If you've built something that works, and it's not gonna work 100%, it never does. There's always something you can do better. But if it is working now, and it is providing value to you and your family, and it's providing value to your clients, that when you work with them, they say, this is great. You saved me, fill in the blank. You helped me, fill in the blank. I feel, fill in the blank. My belief is that you have an obligation to humanity to share it with them. Because you have a spark. You've figured something out that makes the world a better place. And then you can either hold it and keep it small because you're worried that you're going to drop it, or you can open it and you can let the world have it. And if the world embraces it, just like your clients have embraced it, then you will have something that you will be very proud of. You will look back years from now and say, I made a courageous and right decision. And you'll be able to say, I made the world a better place for being here, which not many people can do. But you guys are doing it right now in your businesses, in your markets. And I think that is the abundance mindset. It's share with the world your brilliance. Or don't. The choice is yours. So, my recommendation to people when they ask me, what do you think I should do? I say, do it. You'll never know until you're in it. But dream big. If big is I want all of Dallas, I want all of Texas, the world. Dream big. Dream big so that it scares you. Have a mission that then when you wake up, you're excited to go and do it. And it takes you the same amount of time to dream big as it does to dream small. And when we look at ourselves in the mirror, do we think we are small dreamers? Of course not. So if you feel that, go do it. I've built all kinds of businesses. There's always problems with them. Witness today, we started off the day, we came in, the other room sucked. Change it. Move to the other room. And you just change it. But at the end of the day, we're all gonna look back and go, what a great day. Have that feeling all the time, and you will be hugely, hugely happy. So, you built a business. You took a risk. We need to get the R out of that. You're locked up in a room full of entrepreneurs for the day. What do you have to lose? So look out over that horizon. And today, think about where the business could go as you're hearing the rest of our team talk about the components and the platforms that they can help you with.